Alex Smith down in Washington. Colt McCoy is your backup. We will keep you updated. Back to Detroit. As Alex Smith has been carted to the locker room. You see that air cast on his right leg. It was an ugly injury, it seems, to his right ankle.
It's been nearly 18 months since Redskins quarterback Alex Smith was carted off the FedEx Field after a gruesome injury put his football future in doubt. That ride off the field on November 18, 2018 was just the start of a long journey from the compound fracture of his right tibia and a fractured right fibula. Since that fateful moment, Smith has endured 17 surgeries, and because of an infection and other complications, it's been pretty graphic for him. At one point, doctors considered amputation his leg. That means taking his leg off and replacing it with a robotic leg counterpart.
I asked the coach next to me what happened. I thought it was a concussion or something. I didn't know. Somebody else next to him said, I saw it. His leg's in two different places.
Moment.
Immediately, I remember thinking that, season's over. Carted off. That's kind of when the shock had wore off, and it got pretty painful at that point.
And Alex's fever is through the roof, and his blood pressure is dropped. Alex is not Alex anymore. It's test after test after test.
Smith is lucky to be alive, and he even says so after enduring that bad, brutal infection.
And very much lucky to be alive. Very lucky to still have my leg. Going back to your original question, good to be here.
Smith vowed to return, but the doctors were not so sure. While team officials acknowledged the massive odds that he faced in coming back from this brutal injury and even survival, they always returned to one comment: if anybody can do it, Alex can. Alex Smith was even featured in an ESPN documentary detailing his journey. There was so much doubt about whether or not he'd be able to return, and one member of the organization said there hadn't been much talk about the possibility of him being on the roster ever again. New head coach Ron Rivera would include him when discussing the quarterbacks, which were Kyle Allen and Dwayne Haskins, but privately, the quarterback battle always was on Dwayne Haskins or Kyle Allen. Alex Smith was never really an option. But on July 24th of 2020, before the start of training camp, Alex Smith told ESPN's Stefania Bell that he had been cleared by the personal doctors for full activity. One of his doctors also is Washington's head team physician, Robin West. But Washington staff wanted to see more before it was comfortable clearing him for football activity, which is pretty reasonable of an ask. They weren't too sure if he was back. Alex Smith worked off to the side with trainers while the other quarterbacks performed drills on the field. Rivera said that he was pleasantly surprised by how Smith looked while doing agility work and other drills. Washington's main concern has been Smith's ability to protect himself. His mobility had been a key part of his game in the past, and team brass wanted to make sure he could still move in the pocket well enough to avoid pressure. Another source says Alex Smith had a really good week last week, which put him on pace to come off the physically unable to play list. Rivera also said several times that if Smith were to be activated, which once again was not even a part of the discussion weeks ago, he'd be included in the quarterback competition. Now, Washington is not the same team Alex Smith quarterbacked in 2018. That was the year of his injury. Then it was a more veteran team led by coach Jay Gruden. Now, although Alex Smith had modest stats, they were not terrible. 10 touchdowns, 85.7 passer rating, and he was struggling to master the offense. When I say he was struggling to master the offense, Washington was 6-3 when he was injured. 6 wins, 3 losses. That's a pretty favorable record considering, what the predictions are looking like for the Washington Redskins in 2020. Teammates credited his leadership and his ability to avoid trouble. He had only 5 interceptions in those 9 games, and that was a key reason for his success. At the season's end, multiple players moaned at the loss of his leadership. In 13 years, Smith had started 161 games and thrown 193 touchdowns and 101 interceptions. He was the number 1 pick in the 2005 NFL Draft, and he spent 7 seasons with San Francisco before being traded to Kansas City, as we all know him to be. The Chiefs dealt him to the Redskins in the 2018 offseason, which opened the door for who? Patrick Mahomes to start. Now, Mahomes just won the Super Bowl, and he credits Alex Smith for providing a blueprint on how to prepare to play quarterback in the NFL. Alex Smith also became a mentor to Dwayne Haskins last season. But even while discussing his impact on Haskins, Alex Smith said he could have a bigger impact if he were actually preparing to play and not just dispensing advice. With Alex Smith entering the quarterback competition, Washington faces the decision of either turning to the youth with Haskins or even Kyle Allen, or do they go with veteran leadership with Alex Smith? It would be a great comeback story if they do. Now, Washington drafted Haskins with the 15th overall pick in 2019, and he pleased the organization this offseason in terms of getting in shape and the leadership he displayed. But Alex Smith, he was 6-3 when he played in 2018, and I think that the Redskins might even have a better chance if he were to come back. When we look at how this quarterback competition is trying to shape out, we have Dwayne Haskins, who had a quarterback record of 2-5 in 2019. And Dwayne Haskins, let me just tell you, I had Terry McLaurin on my fantasy football team, and honestly, he's on my team again this year. Terry McLaurin performed very well when Dwayne Haskins was not his quarterback, and I feel that when Dwayne Haskins took the reins over in that quarterback position, I think it was from Case Keenum, things just kind of slipped away from Dwayne Haskins. I think he definitely showed that he was a young player, and he did not do great. Now, next up, we have Kyle Allen, who's looking to compete as well. Kyle Allen has a record of 6-7 in the NFL, and he went 5-7 in 2019 with the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Panthers definitely were not the best team in 2019, but the Redskins don't have the Redskins have a similar talent roster in 2020 that the Panthers did in 2019, so you can't really expect much better from Kyle Allen this year. And then you go to Alex Smith, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bionic Leg himself. Smith has a career record of 94 wins and 66 losses. So basically, simplify that, 9 wins, 6 losses compared to the other losing records. Alex Smith has shown that he's been dominant throughout his whole career. If you look at, that record doesn't even show how good he is. The first couple years in his career, from 2005 until 2010, they were all losing records, which is just going to impact that. From 2011 on, Alex Smith has always been a winner. 2011, he went 13-3 with the 49ers, which was his career best year. And ever since then, he's always had a winning record anytime he started. I think that Alex Smith, although he has a bionic leg, and he is lucky to be alive after that gruesome and injury and infection, I think that Alex Smith is shaping up to be the Washington Redskins quarterback. It just wouldn't be fair. I know that I know the Redskins went pretty all out on Dwayne Haskins, but why keep Alex Smith on the roster if you were so sure of Dwayne Haskins? Obviously, they have Kyle Allen now too. I never understood why they took Kyle Allen from the Panthers. Don't see the logic in that one. But Alex Smith, he's a good football player. And if Alex Smith didn't get injured in 2018, I would be surprised if he was not the starting quarterback in 2020. So I say give Alex Smith a shot. Let Alex Smith prove in training camp that he has a chance. And I hope they have the open quarterback competition. I hope Alex Smith wins. And since I'm an Eagles fan, I hope that the Redskins fail. But I hope Alex Smith does find a place for him to play in 2020. And hopefully he will. There it is. That's the comeback story of Alex Smith. Can Alex Smith win Comeback Player of the Year in 2020? Drop your thoughts down below. There's his story. Anything else you guys want to see, let me know down below. Subscribe. There it is.